Hello, my name is Garrison. I research political extremism. Yay! Yeah! No, it's the bad kind. Boo! So, part of the job is threat modeling and predictive analysis, which is definitely a pseudoscience, but it's sometimes right. Now, recently, my field has been trying to deal with this new wave of post-ironic school shooters. So yeah, it's going to be that kind of thing. During and immediately after the COVID lockdowns, mass shootings and school shootings took a bit of a dip, but now, the past 2 years, they've been coming back, particularly through the lens of 2000s school shooter and alt-right nostalgia. It's very odd. Now, I'll point to two recent examples. On December 16th in Madison, Wisconsin, a 15-year-old girl shot and killed two people, hit herself at a Christian school. A month later, January 22nd, in Anarch, Tennessee, a 17-year-old guy killed two students, including himself, outside the school cafeteria. Now, the former, a girl, was obsessed with school shooters. She was an active participant in what you could call a school shooter fandom. It's called TCC, or the True Crime Community. Not true crime podcasts, but people who are obsessed with the Manson killings, Columbine, that kind of stuff. It's like an insular group, but they're popular on Tumblr, Discord, and seemingly her primary motivation was to cosplay Columbine. Now, the Tennessee shooter is a little bit different. He was a white supremacist black incel, and yes, it's that annoying. Now, he quickly became a fan of the Wisconsin shooter before deciding to do his own attack. Now, both the Wisconsin and the Tennessee shooters' manifestos were heavily derivative of previous mass shooters, not just referencing memes, but they substantially plagiarized the writing, which is probably their second worst crime. Now, both these shooters wore school shooter merchandise, clothing, band shirts worn by the Columbine shooters. So that's their fandom. Now, though both these people expressed mimetic fascist sentiments, their target selection doesn't match that out of what we would see from ideological Nazi terrorist shootings. Their participation in online neo-Nazism is almost more perfunctory. It's to signal to others their interest in this nihilistic fandom culture of death. Now, with the Tennessee Manifesto especially, it's just the most mind-numbing, incoherent mix of anti-Semitism, contrarian anti-blackness, terrorgram memes, 4chan memes, and cell memes. It's trying to be so esoteric that it horseshoes back around into being almost boring. But it nevertheless follows a resurgence of far-right visibility following Trump's re-election. Now, considering these trends, this femcel, nihilistic school shooter, followed by an ironic Nazi, black Nazi school shooter, if we combine that with modeling for targeted groups, right, a propensity for self-harming behaviors, depression, rejection of life, and substance abuse, a few months ago I arrived at a most unfortunate prediction for what the next brainrot school shooter might be. 3 words: Puppygirl school shooter. I'm sorry. I just report the news. I don't make it, except in this case where I made it up. But Puppygirl school shooter is it's a black, obsidian scrying mirror. It gains complexity and induces near endless visions the longer you stare at it. Now, the right is already trying to label every mass shooter as a transgender, though there's only been actually one seemingly legitimate transgender school shooter. That's 2023 in Nashville. But the Puppygirl school shooter is a nightmare scenario, right? I don't know what's worse, if they're a fascist or a tanky. Now, obviously,
there's one is definitely worse than the other.
Both make sense for the puppy girl, right? Desiring subjugation, or come on, Freud, Adorno, Foucault, we get it. And we already had a Nazi cat boyfriend a few years ago, which is homo nationalism. You can ask me about quote unquote queering Evola later. It's terrible, but with Puppy Girl school shooter, imagine the New York Post articles. Headline: What is a Therian? Behind the latest transgender terrorist. It's going to be a nightmare for me, because this is what I do for work. I have to write about these things. It's just, really, I'm the real victim of this. Furries don't need this right now. Already, schools in Texas and Oklahoma are trying to ban furries and quote-unquote non-human behavior at schools. Now, you would be, but now you could be sent to the school resource officer for trying to put on like cat ears and be sent to a watch list. So, luckily, I think this is far from certain, especially considering all the executive dysfunction.